Welcome friends, this is your own channel, Real Story Hub. If you are new, be sure to subscribe and press the bell icon. Because today's story is about a serial killer who terrorized the entire city. This is the story of the Cleveland torso murder, a case that has not been solved to this day, and which has left a dark chapter in American history. The year is 1934. The United States was suffering from a severe economic crisis, the Great Depression. Millions of people were unemployed, homeless. Factories, steel mills, and railway stations in Cleveland, Ohio were a source of employment for people. But in the heart of this city, there was a place known as Kingsbury Run. This area had become a haven for the poor and homeless. People lived in dilapidated shacks, wooden boxes, and tents. And this was where a scary series began. In September 1934, a boy saw a terrifying sight on the shore of a lake. It was a human torso. The head and arms had been severed. When the police saw the body, they knew immediately that this was no ordinary murder. The cuts were so clean that they looked as if they had been made with great skill by a doctor or a butcher. The police had no witnesses, no clues. After a while, another body was found, then another. And then the chain of events became unstoppable. From 1935 to 1938, bodies were found one after another in Cleveland. At least 13 people were confirmed to have been murdered. But experts believe the real number could be much higher, perhaps 20 or 40. The style of each murder was the same. The head was cut off. The body was dismembered. The torso was dismembered and thrown away. Traces of chemicals were also found on several of the bodies, as if the killer was trying to preserve them. The most terrifying thing was that the killer often dumped the bodies in places where people would definitely see them. As if he was challenging the city. Most of the victims were poor or homeless people. Some were prostitutes, some were laborers, and some were unknown people who have not been identified to this day. The police gave most of the bodies a code name, victim number 5 or Lady of the Lake. The killer deliberately targeted people who no one would find. By 1935, an atmosphere of fear had spread in the city. Newspapers were publishing headlines every day. People were afraid to leave their homes at night. At that time, the city's mayor called in a famous figure, Eliot Ness. This was the same Eliot Ness who had defeated the mafia don Al Capone in Chicago. Now he became the safety director of Cleveland. People hoped that he would catch this serial killer too, but this case turned out to be the most difficult challenge of Eliot Ness's life. They raided Kingsbury Run, arrested dozens of people, and burned down the entire area one night so the killer wouldn't find his prey. But the killings continued. The killer was always one step ahead of the police. The police had the dismembered bodies, but no trace of the killer. The severed limbs clearly indicated that the killer knew the structure of the human body. Chemicals were found on some of the bodies. All the murders took place at or near Kingsbury Run. At that time, there were no DNA tests or modern forensics. The police could only make guesses. Over time, several suspects emerged. One, Dr. Francis Sweeney. The biggest suspect was a local doctor, Francis E. Sweeney. He had been a military surgeon in World War I and was known for his violent temper and drinking. Eliot Ness caught him and gave him a polygraph test twice. He failed both times. Eliot Ness was absolutely certain that this was the killer. But Dr. Sweeney was a close relative of an influential politician. He could not be arrested without solid evidence. Later, he entered a mental institution where he spent the rest of his life. Some people said that these murders were mafia methods. But the mafia never dismembered bodies so neatly. Some investigators believed that the killer was a railroad passenger who went to different cities and killed, but no evidence was found. By 1937, fear was at its peak in Cleveland. People were trembling even in broad daylight. The newspapers were screaming, "Torso murderer strikes again." Eliot Ness's reputation began to decline. People began to call him a failure. The same hero now seemed helpless to catch the criminal. In 1938, the series of murders suddenly stopped. Did the killer die? Or did he leave town? Or as some say, did Eliot Ness secretly catch him and quietly end him? The real truth has not come to light to this day. The Cleveland torso murder is still considered one of the oldest and most terrifying unsolved cases in America. How many people were killed? Who was the real killer? And why did it all happen? These questions still beg for answers today. So friends, what do you think? Was Dr. Sweeney the real killer? Or was it someone who was never caught? And most importantly, why did this series end so suddenly? Be sure to write your opinion in the comments. If you like the story, like the video, subscribe to the channel and don't forget to press the bell icon. so that you can get more true stories first.